Hey, what's up, everybody? Marcos Villegas here, welcoming you to Fight Up TV Live. We are simulcasting on the YouTube channel as well as on Instagram right now. So this is the first time I've done this before. We're running on two platforms right now. So first off, I want to go ahead and welcome you guys to the simulcast live stream right now. You could watch us either on our Instagram account or on here, the YouTube account at Fight Up TV if you want to switch over to Instagram, or from Instagram if you want to switch over to our Fight Up TV live stream right now on YouTube. Want to welcome you guys, and to our new subscribers that joined over the past week, I want to welcome you guys on behalf of me, the founder of this channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for viewing our content, and thank you for supporting. So, main thing I wanted to talk about this video is a recap on the Mayweather-McGregor World Tour, and give really my thoughts on everything that happened over the weekend, which was a lot of stuff that did happen, and just give you my thoughts on how I compare this press conference, or series of press conferences, noted as a world tour in which they stopped in 4 cities, I think LA, Toronto, New York, and London, comparing it to the other boxing press conferences I've been to as well. So with that being said, how does it compare to the other press conferences that I've been to? The ones that I can more or less compare them to, and it's two, in fact, that I think were on the same level or a little bit less in terms of interest than this fight, was two. The Mayweather-Canelo fight and the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Now, this one was way bigger in terms of people, in terms of energy, in terms of atmosphere. I've honestly never ever seen anything like that ever before in my whole entire life. It was crazy. It felt like a fight. It felt like being at a fight, which is something you don't ever see for a press conference. Usually, for you new MMA guys that are tuning in, boxing press conferences are completely different than MMA press conferences. Boxing press conferences are more ceremonial. I want to say they have a bunch of people go on the dais, talk, who honestly, I share your sentiment, shouldn't really be talking. You got all these people you've never heard of talking, sponsors talking, commissioners talking. Really, we don't want to hear from those people as fans, and even as me, working the event. The shorter the event, the better, because it allows me to go and get the stuff that I need to get with the principals a lot quicker. So, with that being said, I share your sentiment, and there was a lot of that in this press tour. But given the amount of people now, in LA, there was close to 20,000 people for that press conference, which is crazy. If you take a look at the fights that have happened at the Staples Center over the years that have packed that arena as much as this press conference in LA packed it, there's, I want to say off the top of my head, 2 fights. 3 actually. Mosley versus Margarito that broke the attendance record. I do believe it still has the attendance record for most people attending the Staples Center. Abner Mars versus Leo Santa Cruz, which is another fight that had a lot of people there, a good atmosphere. I want to say that one had 15,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Klitschko-Areola fight, which I believe that one had about 16,000 people. So these things were crazy. And let me tell you a funny story. So we're in the back interviewing Floyd, and then all of a sudden, Skip, who I see a lot with the FS1 shows, and he works directly for Heyman, comes running in and tells Floyd's publicist, "Hey, Conor's on stage. We need to cut this and we need to go right now." And Floyd's publicist is like, "No, wait a second. No. Like, he has to finish all these interviews. What are you talking about? Is he literally on stage?" And Skip goes back and goes, "Yeah, he's literally on stage. We need to go right now." So she instructs everybody, "Hey, we'll get you guys after this face-off and presser is over. Just make sure to come back. We all got to leave right now." So we're all running, okay, to get to our stations at the press conference, because there's a big old floor seat set up, and then there's the risers where everybody goes and puts their tripods on to film the press conference. So we're there, and then all of a sudden we all get fit into this tunnel, and we kind of just bottleneck there, and we're just waiting there. And then we hear the announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr., announce Conor McGregor, and there's fans like it's the entranceway where the fighters come out usually when there's a fight. So we hear fans chanting, you know, Floyd, Floyd, Conor, Conor. Then all of a sudden, I look over to my side and I see that Floyd Mayweather's right in front of me, and they're about to announce him, and I'm like, man, this looks like and feels like a fight. Like it's exactly fight night. This is crazy. So that was a really cool experience to walk out with Floyd for that first press conference, seeing the people that were cheering for him and cheering against him. So I just want to let you guys know once more, we're simulcasting right now on my phone. We are on Facebook Live. On my iPad, we are from, on this camera, YouTube, I'm filming on my iPad, so I apologize if the quality looks a little bit grainy. Usually, I'm doing this on my camera as opposed to my iPad, so I just wanted to let you guys know that. So, in terms of that first day, so everybody that went to LA got one of these. It's a ticket for the Mayweather-McGregor World Tour, which was pretty cool. The Media Pass, of course, was pretty cool too as well, that they gave us. So I went to half of the stops. I went to the LA stop and the New York stop, kicking myself in the ass. I wish I would have went to the Toronto stop, because the Toronto stop was the best stop out of the World Tour. And then I have a team out in London that covered that. I was going to go to London, but tickets were ridiculous for a flight to London. It was about $2,300 round trip to go, and that's not including hotel expenses and all that. So, yeah, I wasn't going to do that at all. So with that said, man, you know, how does this press tour and these press conferences compare to... Sorry, I just got a weird message from a pro fighter right now. How does this press tour compare to the ones that I've been to? So the one that really sticks out in my mind was the Mayweather Canelo Alvarez press conference, which was outside of the Staples Center, and it had about 20,000 people there outside. So I remember there's this big old stage, and I looked to the left and I looked to the right, and it's just a sea of people all the way back to the Staples Center, and that'll always stick in my mind. And let me do something real quick. Let me go ahead and block this troll right here. Blocked. Perfect. I love that. So that's the one thing, you know, people-wise, I want to go ahead and compare it to that, because that's really the only other event that I could compare it to. Because Mayweather-Pacquiao, that press conference was private. It was only open to the media. There was a lot of media members there. I want to say there was more media members for the Mayweather-Pacquiao press conference in Los Angeles at the Nokia Theater than this one. We were in the room with Dana and Floyd. I counted about, I want to say 25 cameras, 25 media members there. For Mayweather-Pacquiao, there was like 200. So it was a lot of people, you know. A lot of people that I've never heard of. They came out of the woodwork that, you know, don't ever really cover fights. And they come in, they cover this event, which is telling you something about the magnitude of this event. It's a huge event. It's an event, not a competitive fight, but it is an event. And it showed with the amount of traffic that we got for the press conferences. So with that being said, this was something unreal. I don't think I'm going to see what I saw for a press conference ever again in my life. That was crazy. New York was insane. New York at the Barclays Center was packed. I'm going to say about 13 to 14,000 people. And it felt like a fight again. The atmosphere was insane. All the stops were all mostly Conor fans. I would have expected that Floyd had gotten a reception, a good one, at least in LA or in New York, which he didn't whatsoever. I'm really surprised at that. But it shows you that this event is an event that caters a lot to the casual fan, and a lot of MMA and UFC fans want to see more so than boxing fans, to be honest. Because if it was the other way around, I think the crowds would have been a little bit more, not even, but you could significantly be able to hear Mayweather fans, and you couldn't hear anything. Conor fans completely drowned it out, any mention of Mayweather whatsoever. Kind of funny things that I do want to point out with the press conference. I think the crowds that we're seeing at the press conferences, I hope those same people show up to the fight, even though tickets to the fight, I hear, are going to be ridiculous, more than the Mayweather-Pacquiao tickets. And the Mayweather-Pacquiao tickets were extremely expensive, crazy expensive. So that's one part that kind of sucks. When you get to super fights, I think they become unaccessible to your normal fan, which I think to me hurts the atmosphere, because you got a lot of these people that go to these fights. When you price the tickets the way you do for these mega fights, and it's lacking in atmosphere. Like Mayweather Pacquiao had no atmosphere. It sucked. It was terrible. It was a really, really bad atmosphere. When McGregor fought Alvarez, the atmosphere was not like other McGregor fights. It sucked because of the people that are there. The ones that are buying up the tickets, I want to say, are more of the casual fans. They just want to be there to be seen at a big event and all that. So I really do hope that they set aside a good amount of tickets for regular fans to be able to attend, where it's not too much. I'm seeing ticket prices anywhere from $10,000 to, I saw a thing on the internet, $100,000. No idea why someone would pay $100,000 for a ticket for anything, but that's what I've seen online. Tickets are not on sale yet. I'm hearing tickets will be on sale next week, so we'll see the official prices for tickets for this event next week. Now, with that being said, some funny things that happened. One, it was cool seeing a mix of boxing and MMA media. Saw a lot of people there that I haven't seen for a very long time. I used to cover MMA very consistently when I first started the channel, and I used to see a lot of the people that I saw on this trip a lot more than I do now. So it was good to see people like Luke Thomas and Ariel, some guys from Sherdog, some guys from USA Today, Brett Alcomado, Josh Gross. So it was really good to see all those guys at the press conference. And it was kind of weird to see like a mix of boxing and MMA media, because a few people would commingle with each other and talk with each other. But for the most part, I noticed the MMA group would stick with the MMA people, and the boxing people and media would stick with the boxing people. With that being said, the other thing is the amount of interaction the fans had with Floyd and Steven Espinoza and Conor. I thought it was great. It really reminded me of a WWE event in terms of fan interaction. It reminded me, when Steve Austin would come out and say something, and the crowd would chant "what" and repeatedly chant "what," or any sort of WWE event. You see that type of interaction with the fans chanting with the performers, and this is something that you saw particularly for this world tour that honestly you don't see ever in boxing press conferences. I know for UFC press conferences they happen a lot. It's a completely different format, and I hope that transitions over to boxing press conferences, and I really do hope that they make them more Q&A style in the future. I know Top Rank's already doing that as well, but I'd like to see it be more incorporated in the future. The other thing that comes from the top of my head, Conor, dude, the dude's a money-making machine, man. This guy just oozes charisma like crazy left and right. I've never seen a guy ooze that much charisma and is able to play the crowd, play the audience, and kind of riff like that for a very long time. There's others that have done it extremely well. Naseem Hamed was a perfect example. I think if there's a guy that oozed more charisma than Conor, it was Naseem Hamed. Naseem Hamed was one of a kind when he was on the mic, when he was on. But it reminded me, Conor, after all this fighting's done, I really think Conor has a huge future in WWE. He's made for that format. You know, he can go ahead and riff, and you know, I'm laughing at your guys' comments because you keep mentioning Yoga Flame. That looks nothing like Dalsim, guys. Come on, nothing like Dalsim at all. All right, not Yoga Flame, and it would be Yoga Fire, really, because it's a ball. Yoga, no, I guess, yeah, Yoga Flame. You know, I'm a huge Street Fighter guy. I grew up playing Street Fighter and stuff, so, yeah. Back to, yeah, Dawson. It looks nothing like Dawson. Dude, come on. Look at the skin tone. Come on, you guys. That's right. That's a hoe. That's a hoe. Hot fire hoe. But, yeah. Conor definitely belongs to WWE, and I think there's a future for him in that. They're going to offer him when all this fighting stuff is over, because when you look at the trajectory of a fighter, and especially with MMA is a lot shorter than boxing. You know, take a look at someone like Ronda Rousey, only competed for about 3 to 5 years, somewhere around that range, you know. He's going to get a lot of opportunities, a lot of bucks being thrown at him to do things like WWE and other things as well. So with that said too, another thing that particularly stuck out to me was the amount of traffic interest online for this fight. And it's just, you know, at first when it was first announced, I was seeing the numbers over here that we do on the channel. It was getting around the same amount of traffic that we were getting for Mayweather Pacquiao. Mayweather Pacquiao was a huge freaking fight, anticipated for 5-6 years. But then this world tour started, and the first stop was okay. You know, I would say Floyd won that first stop. And then Toronto came, and boom, you know, that's when interest shot up for the fight, and then it just kept climbing and climbing. So it's at a point now where I really do think that it's going to break the Mayweather-Pacquiao records, which is crazy to think about it, to be honest, because you have a guy that's not even a boxer being able to come in and break a record like the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, which is insane. It's crazy. So the other thing, too, I wanted to say was the interviews that I did with the various people. Okay, I'm going to block another guy. Some of you guys are just talking dumb stuff. Dumb stuff. You guys don't know what the heck you guys are talking about. So block some more people. All right. In terms of the interviews, it was good to finally talk to Dana. I haven't had a chance to talk to Dana White in about 6 years due to me just not covering UFC events. So I had really good interviews with them. If you missed them, go ahead and you can check them out on the channel. YouTube.com/FightHub. I had Dana talking about what Lorenzo Fertitta thinks about the fight. What happens if Conor went ahead and touched Floyd, which he did at the last press conference, which I was super surprised that he went ahead and touched it. Robert Rowland, dude, I still think the fight's going to be uncompetitive. I'm not hating. It's fact. It's going to be an uncompetitive fight. So I'll leave it at that. I'll get into that a little bit later. So the interviews with Conor went well. Conor talked about, and he's just playing around, but he talked about maybe he won't follow the rules on fight night. I am working on a video that's going to go through what he can and can't do in a boxing fight. So I want you guys to go ahead and stay tuned for that. Spoke to Floyd on a variety of things about the fight as well. Was really surprised that he admitted that sparring's been really hard, that he's rusty, that he's not the same fighter that he used to be. Actually, we have a video that we released about 3 weeks ago in which we have a media member that watched Floyd spar the first week of camp. And he had told us, he saw him sparring, and he was honest. He's like, you know what? Floyd looked like crap. He looked really bad. He looked like a 40-year-old that couldn't pull the trigger. He just would look slow in there. And I was like, no way. It's impossible. No way. And I'm like, you serious, dude? And he's like, yeah. Like, I just saw him spar. Then when Floyd came to California, I had friends that went to the gym where he was sparring at. And they had told us, too, that, you know, Floyd was taking breaks because it was really hot in the gym. He would come out. They asked people not to film anything when he would come out to take a breather, and then he would go back in and start the workout again. So, I don't know. For a guy who's taken 2 years off, that's not a very long time. I know 2 years is 2 years. You're still going to be rusty in terms of training, in terms of getting back your timing and your rhythm, but it's not like he's taking a 5-year layoff. So it's for me, it's very hard to believe that even if he is feeling rusty and he's not as fast as he says he is, to be that much of a discrepancy in terms of this fight. I don't know. I just find it very hard to believe that he's going to fall off by that much, given it's only 2 years. If it was 5 years, yeah, that was something else. But in this 2 years' time, I can only see positives for him, to be honest, in terms of healing his body and just feeling refreshed in there. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and open up to your guys' comments and questions, and I'll go ahead and answer the best ones. So we're going to go ahead and go through them. Jake in the box, Father Time is undefeated. Very, very true, my friend. We saw that this weekend with Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Got knocked down 5 times against Omar Figueroa. That was crazy. I was not expecting that whatsoever, man. Roland needs to be blocked. Hey, what is this Roland guy talking about, man? I don't know what the heck he's talking about. Fluffy Bone 87, Marcos, what's going on with that old school GG Canelo commercial? Looks cool. I have no idea, dude. I've been seeing stuff, pictures from that commercial, and it's kind of weird. Canelo and Golovkin have been seeing each other like a lot lately, and honestly, I don't really like it. I don't like when two guys that are gonna fight, they're seeing each other all the time. It kind of like takes the rivalry away. Like I think like, oh, they're seeing themselves all the time. What are they, like buddies? Like I like to think that when two guys are fighting each other for that time, the camp and fight night, that they absolutely hate each other. They can't stand each other. So let's go ahead and go back to your guys' comments. Let's see here. How can Conor win? Ivan Robles. Good question. If I look at it from a non-partial standpoint and look at it objective, how can Conor McGregor win against Floyd? And I would say that there's a few ways. But here's the thing. I want you guys to know this also. Conor McGregor is not a pressure fighter. And you guys should know that he's not a pressure fighter. This guy's a counterpuncher. You look at his win over Jose Aldo, he took a half step back, clocked him with the straight. In boxing, there's a similar variation of that. Step back, check hook. The same thing. He countered Jose Aldo. When you look at his fight against Eddie Alvarez, same thing. He waited for Eddie to strike, and then he would go ahead and let go of his counter punches. So, it's very hard for a guy to get out of his style and completely change it. But I have seen counter punches do that. When Juan Manuel Marquez went ahead and fought Floyd Mayweather, he let go of the counter punching and turned into an aggressive style fighter, but it backfired on him. And the other thing too, Juan Manuel Marquez was a very small guy. So that was the other thing. Floyd was a lot bigger. Floyd didn't even make the weight for that fight. He was penalized and had to give Marquez like $200,000-$300,000 for not making the weight. So with that being said, for Conor to win this fight, there's a few ways. One, he lands a punch. And that's, I think, in itself, one of the hardest things, because that would be like a Hail Mary type play. And if there's one thing that Floyd is known for, and when you talk to opponents that have fought Floyd, they'll tell you the one thing that's most frustrating of everything about fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr. is hitting the guy and his reflexes. They'd say, like, Floyd would know when they would throw punches a second before they would throw the punch, and he would move out of the way or we counterpunch him. And they would say that was the most difficult thing about Floyd. You can't hit the guy. It's very, very hard. Now, he's 40. He's saying he's slower, so, who knows? But I think for Conor to win that fight, that could be a thing. If he lands a lucky punch. But when it comes to boxing, you rarely see people landing lucky punches. And especially with a guy like Floyd Mayweather, who, when he fights a counterpuncher, he cuts their punch output in half. You look at the Manny Pacquiao fight. Manny Pacquiao throws an ungodly amount of punches every round. I don't know the exact number, but I know for a fact it's over 40 punches, And CompuBox came out with a thing saying that opponents that have been successful against Floyd Mayweather have to throw 80 to 100 punches a round. Marcos Maidana, case in point. So when Floyd fights somebody, he cuts their punch output, in half. So that's already stacked against Conor McGregor on that perspective. The other thing, if Conor fights him on the inside and keeps him there on the inside and is able to manhandle him and just hit the body, hit the shoulders, and do everything, I guess it could be a strategy. But even then, I spoke to Ricky Hatton a few years ago. I asked him, how was it like fighting Floyd Mayweather on the inside? He told me Floyd Mayweather has one of the most highly underrated inside fighting skills in the game. Another question. I asked Shane Mosley, same thing. I'm like, bro, when you landed that straight, why were you not able to go and finish Floyd when you landed that straight in the second round? He told me, once again, man, well, one, he said he was injured, that he had spent all his, he was gassed out at that point. He blew his load. But he also said, too, Floyd's extremely tricky on the inside. He hits you with elbows inside your forearm, inside this part right here, when he's, shoulder rolling and really in there on the inside. He said that Floyd's extremely, extremely underrated when it comes to that. So, that's, overall, honestly, it's an extremely tough fight for Conor to win. Extremely tough. Everything stacked against him in this fight. And then given the fact, too, that you have a guy, he's fighting Floyd Mayweather. It's not like Conor's going in there and fighting, Joe Blow brawler. He's fighting Floyd Mayweather, best defensive fighter since Pernell Whitaker of the last 10, 15 years, So it's not like, it's a thing that's possible. And here's the other thing. Okay, I'm glad someone brought up Jeff Horn. Same guys weren't giving Jeff Horn any chance, and we saw what happened. The duelists. I'm going to bring up this point. Here's the difference between Jeff Horn and Conor McGregor. Jeff Horn was an Olympian. He was on the Australian Olympic team. Jeff Horn had a buttload of amateur fights. Jeff Horn has 17 professional bouts before facing Manny Pacquiao. Jeff Horn has been training boxing his whole entire life. That's the big difference between Jeff Horn and Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's had to study all these arts and not been able to specialize in one art form. Jeff Horn has been specializing in one art form for his whole entire life. And that's the biggest difference between Jeff Horn and Conor McGregor. So that's to that thing right there in terms of comparing Jeff Horn to Conor McGregor. Jeff Horn would beat Conor McGregor, to be honest. All right. More of your guys' questions. I want to see Horrigan. Horn's a good fighter. I think he'll make some good fights in there with the top welterweights out there. I'm going to switch it over to Instagram. Okay, I'm filming horizontally, so it's very hard to see your guys' comments. So I just want to say hey to everybody over on Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. Go over to youtube.com/FightHub on the YouTube channel, and I can get to more of your questions. Gary M. Jeff Horn did a good job. Very, very true. I think Manny wasn't expecting a guy so big. Dude was huge compared to Manny Pacquiao. Significantly a lot bigger than Manny Pacquiao. And the other thing, he was very awkward, very herky-jerky. And, another thing I think fans aren't taking into account, the fight was outdoors. It was extremely hot in Australia. And I think that played a factor with both fighters. They seemed to get extremely tired, I want to say around the 6th or 7th round. So let's go ahead and see more of your guys' questions. I'm glad I put that Horn argument to rest. Don't compare this guy to Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn had loads of experience compared to Conor McGregor. Horn was an Olympian. Let's see here. Scrolling through your guys' comments. Want to thank you guys for tuning in with us so far. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, you guys. Is there USADA drug testing for this fight? Tink twice, man. It's a very, very good question. I wish I would have thought of that, actually, and brought it up. But I'll go ahead and dig on that and see. I know when Floyd fights, usually it's kind of like across the board. He always has USADA drug testing. So I would expect that this fight would have USADA drug testing. Okay, let's see here. Robert Guerrero retired. Fluffy Bone 87. Yeah, man. Robert, lost over the weekend to Omar Figueroa. And I was surprised, too, because I honestly thought it would be more of a competitive fight between the two. Robert's a bigger guy than Omar. And he got dropped 5 times. And it's just, he can't take the punishment like he used to before. And I think it became very apparent in that fight. The other thing, though, he did really well that first round, but I think Omar was kind of seeing what he had. And I think what Robert thought was, hey, I could go ahead and try to... I'm bigger than this guy. I had an easy time that first round. I'm going to go ahead and try to bully this guy, which Robert has tried to do in the last few fights, and it completely backfired on him. And we saw what happened with the 5 knockdowns. I wish, Robert Guerrero nothing but the best in retirement. He had a great and successful career. Winning 4 world titles in 4 weight classes. That's not an easy accomplishment. Winning a world title is extremely hard to do in boxing. He won it 4 times in 4 divisions. So I think, at the end of the day, he will get a Hall of Fame nod 5 years from now when he becomes eligible. Let's see here. Let's see. Robert Rowland. All right. Good stuff, bro. Eric, Michelle Canelo. YouTube looks much better. Yeah, I know. Can you discuss those? Can you discuss the consequences of those Floyd beats? I don't know what you're saying, Kofi. Please elaborate. Why is this being shit on by the boxing community when Canelo Chavez was shit? Can't be any worse. Jack in the Box. You bring up a good point in terms of that, but let me tell you why. Here's the big difference. With that and this fight. Canelo versus Chavez Jr. was perceived to be a competitive fight. It was perceived to be a competitive fight because you had a guy who's a lot bigger than Canelo Alvarez moving down in weight to meet him halfway, and we had never seen Canelo Alvarez fight a guy as big as Chavez Jr. Now, mind you, both fighters have been fighting their whole entire lives in boxing. That's why, at first, that was perceived to be a competitive fight, because for the first time in a very, very long time, Chavez Jr. was disciplined, he took it seriously, and he was losing weight. He didn't come into the fight overweight. So on the outside, it was perceived because of those 3 factors that fight would be a competitive fight. Now, it ended up not being a competitive fight. It was a whitewash. Canelo completely kicked the crap out of him. And it has a lot to do with a lot of things. The weight loss, wrong game plan, just Chavez's style. But that's why that was seen as being competitive at first. Now you take that and compare it to this McGregor-Mayweather fight. When you have a guy that's had some amateur fights, I don't know how many, but he did have an amateur career in Ireland. And then he goes into this fight going up against a guy who had over 150 amateur fights, should have won the gold medal, won the bronze, went to the Olympics, has gone 49-0, and has not even looked at all in distress against guys like Canelo, De La Hoya, Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto, Shane Mosley, Marcos Maidana. That's why it's seen as uncompetitive, because any of those guys I listed would all, on paper, beat Conor McGregor. And I'm not even saying on paper. If those guys would beat Conor McGregor, So you have a guy, literally, he's 0-0 in boxing. He's never had a professional boxing fight. And MMA for boxing is a lot different than MMA than boxing in a boxing fight. MMA for boxing, you need a lot more distance when you're in there. With boxing, it's a lot shorter distance. So that's why it's seen as an uncompetitive fight, because you have a guy who's been specializing in one art form his whole entire life against a guy who is not been specialized, who's not a boxer, fighting a masterclass boxer. That's why it's seen that way. For your guys, for the guys on Instagram, I want to say hello. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and switch over to the YouTube stream because I'm getting a lot of calls on here. So I'm going to go ahead and end it right now and grab this. Give me 1 second. Okay, guys, sorry about that. All right, go to more of your guys' responses. Lucrative math. Conor got outboxed by Nate Diaz and gassed after 10 minutes. If he doesn't get lucky early, it could be very embarrassing for him. Very, very true. Either way, I don't think the fight's going to go 12 rounds, to be honest. Let's see here. What do you think Amir Khan should do next? That's a good question. There's a lot of fights out there for Amir Khan. Peterson rematch would be good. I thought Amir won that first Peterson fight. Amir says he'd fight Conor McGregor, which I found funny, to be honest. But throw Danny Garcia rematch would be interesting. I think at this point, though, Amir needs a tune-up fight before he gets in there. Maybe put Amir with Sammy Vasquez. That might be good. Put Amir in with... Who else would be good? I would like, 2 tune-ups for Amir and then put him back in the title fight. News on Keith Thurman. Woo Wisdom. I don't know. I know he's being mandated by the WBC to face Sean Porter in a rematch. Sean Porter is the mandatory for Keith Thurman. So I don't know. We all want to see the Spence fight. So certainly we hope the Spence fight happens. Honestly, I would rather see the Spence fight over the Porter rematch, even though the Porter fight was an extremely close fight. And I actually scored that fight. I was there live. I scored that fight a draw, actually. So getting to more of your guys' questions. If you guys want to go ahead and follow me at Hey It's Marcos V on Twitter and Instagram. Let me see here. How come the odds in Vegas are closer for Mayweather versus McGregor rather than the odds for Broner versus Garcia? Ask Gerardo Cruz. Gerardo, that's a good question. I'm really surprised that it's 7-1. The last time I saw the odds in Las Vegas, I would have thought the odds would be a lot further apart, be a bigger disparity. It has a lot to do with people betting money. When there's more money coming in on a certain fighter, the odds go down. So if there's a lot of people that are just betting, and a lot of the times people bet with their hearts. And Conor has a shitload of fans. So when there's a lot of money being thrown down on one person, it skews the odds, and it makes the odds come closer. So at this point, there has been a lot of money that's being put on Conor. Honestly, this fight is probably going to go down to 4-1, to be honest, which it should be a bigger margin, but I don't know. Barn Door. Conor's going to KO Floyd, but then he'll get DQ'd for hammer fist after Floyd drops. Come on, guys. There's no chance it's going to happen. Like, really? All right, we'll go ahead. Moving along. Let's see here. Massey Easy 1. I don't know why, but I got that feeling that on this fight, the outcome will be different. Conor to win. Movement of Conor and his standing is different too. That feeling is so strong, strange. We will see. That's the other point that a lot of people have brought up, Conor's movement. But you know what? I have a really hard time thinking that Floyd can't really decipher that type of movement, to be honest. Given his amateur pedigree and given, you tell me Manny Pacquiao, like the movement that Manny Pacquiao showed, like I think that movement is a lot tougher than the movement that Conor has. From the videos that I've seen, Conor's moving, like his movement is very telegraphed when it's for boxing. He stays there one way, bop, bop, you get hit there because you're staying there. It's very telegraphed. For MMA, he could set it up with kicks and spinning back fists and spinning back kicks. So it's a lot different. And I think that sort of movement telegraphs, it's very telegraphed, and it leaves you open for punches. So I guess that is the X factor, is the movement. But I find it very hard to believe that Conor moves better than Manny Pacquiao in the Mayweather fight, to be honest. Okay. This guy is going to get blocked. Robert Rowland, trolling. He's talking nonsense. Blocked. I like blocked. I get like a little gratification doing that. Okay. Conor's confidence is disturbing. Mr. Howard. That's the one thing I think is important in this fight. Conor's confidence in himself and that's something I do admire, is freaking unshakable. That dude has so much confidence in himself. Not to him, man. You know, he says he's gonna knock out Floyd in 4 rounds. If he doesn't, you know, here's the thing. It's Conor McGregor's job to prove everybody wrong. We're all gonna make our picks, and I guarantee you, people that follow the media members that follow boxing, the media members that follow MMA, I want to say if you were to pull 100, 95 out of 100 are going to say that Floyd Mayweather wins by unanimous decision. I tend to think that Floyd will win via knockout, but it's Conor McGregor's job to prove everybody wrong, and this dude has such an unshakable faith in himself. I admire that, you know, I really, really do, because there's a theory there, you know, you put something out in the universe and it'll come to fruition. It's known as The Secret. There's a book about it. And it's I believe in it, to be honest, you know. If you put something out there in the universe and you put that energy, it's going to come out there and come to fruition. And that's the one thing I think that came apparent to everybody from this press tour of how much Conor McGregor believes in himself. So props to him on that. That's right, Spencer Carpin, the law of attraction. Very, very true. Who will Andre Ward fight next? I hope Adonis Stevenson. I want to see that fight. I don't know about this Andre Ward moving to heavyweight. That's a huge challenge for him to move up 2 weight classes to go to heavyweight, and then wanting to fight somebody like an Anthony Joshua. That's crazy, you know. So, but we'll see. Young OG. Floyd will get a ref stoppage against McGregor. So much rage will ensure saying it was early. Remains to be seen. Gary M. Any undercard news? Yeah, the undercard is going to feature on the co-main event of this Mayweather-McGregor fight will be Gervonta Tank Davis. He was scheduled to fight Orlando Salido, but something happened with Salido. I don't know what happened. I heard he's injured. But he will be the co-main event. Showtime's Steven Espinoza let us know in New York that there's a possibility about that Badu Jack will be on the undercard. There'll be a total of 4 undercard fights. 4 total fights on this card for Mayweather-McGregor for the pay-per-view broadcast. And then the prelims will be on Fox, which is crazy. You know, it's a Showtime fight, and these fights are appearing on Fox. The other thing, too, that was brought up for this fight, man, I just forgot it. It was a cool little news bit. Let me see if I remember. The WBC might sanction a special belt for this fight as well. So it remains to be seen. It might be like a diamond belt or something that they do sanction for this fight. Let's see here. See more of your guys' questions. Co-main event, I just told you, it's Gervonta Davis is going to be in the co-main. I expect to see the Mayweather Promotions fighters on this card. Ishe Smith, J. Leon Love. I would not be surprised if they're on the card as well. Oh, that's the other thing I want to bring up. So, and thanks for bringing it up, the Facts X. Steven Espinoza told us in New York that they were considering having MMA versus boxing fights, but they decided against that because they felt that it had the potential to be very, very short, and the fights would end up being very, very short in terms of that. So, Ali Hosa K, thanks for the compliment. Marcos, you're a nice person. Do you think that this press tour of Mayweather-McGregor was all about fake acting? Mayweather was unnatural to me. He was acting, in my opinion. Conor was more natural. You know, I think a lot of the press conference during the week was show. It was entertainment. You know, people. I think I was telling people the press conference is the real main event. That was the real main event because that's where it's going to be competitive in terms of this fight. You know, that's where Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather are on even ground. And I think overall, Conor McGregor is a better talker than Floyd. Floyd, you know, he's able to handle his own, but I think, you know, Floyd understood it as a show. And I saw a lot of the things that he did in WWE come into this as well. So it's show, you know. People trash talk during press conferences, and it's to build anticipation. It's to build hype. It's for people to be interested in the fight, to be like, oh man, this guy said so and so. I want to see this fight. So that's all it was. And I see young OG, yeah, that was kind of annoying when you say that. All right, just a few more guys because I'm starting to lose my voice, and we've been running for about 45 minutes here. First off, for you guys still here tuning in with us, thank you so much. Extremely appreciate it for you guys tuning in and staying with us. I really appreciate your guys' support on this channel overall as a whole. Floyd Mayweather is saying, yeah, like Little John. Yeah, okay. That'd be hilarious if you did. Yoga. Oh, man, this Yoga Flame thing. Where's this Yoga Flame thing coming from? It looks nothing like Dulcie. Is this like a different thing like on the internet that I'm not aware about? All right. Yoga, there we go again. Yoga Fire, Yoga Flame. Hey, how many of you guys actually picked Dalsim, though, in Street Fighter? Like, I never knew anybody that legit picked Dalsim in Street Fighter. It's always Ken, Ryu, E Honda, and Blanca, and Chun-Li that I always see people playing in Street Fighter. You know who was the cheapest damn character out of all those original Street Fighter characters? Two of them. Freaking E Honda and Blanca. Because E Honda, people would try to corner trap you and do the 100-hand slap. Oh, and Chun-Li too. Chun-Li, people would be jumping around like crazy, get you in a corner, and do the 1,000 kick thing. And then Blanca, because people would try to corner you again and do the electricity thing all entire night. Shout out to this channel, says Dalsum. Okay, he ate all my cookies. You guys are too much. Okay, I think we're gonna go ahead and be good for today, you guys. I really appreciate it. Okay, 2 more questions. That's it. Give me 2 good questions, and we're gonna cut it. So I'm expecting you guys to bring it in. 2 quick questions. Let's go. The Duelist, Villegas. You know Conor won't fight in the same stance and pace of his MMA fights. He'd be much more aggressive, no takedown danger. Remains to be seen, I don't know. Because when you look at Conor McGregor fights, he just waits for the guy to make a first strike, So it's hard for a guy to come out of his stance, A guy is who he is, He could change his stance, change his style until he gets hurt. And then when he gets hurt, he reverts back to what he knows best. We've seen that time and time again with so many fighters. So it'll be interesting to see. But I don't know. And even as a pressure fighter, who knows how well he does. He can leave himself open for a lot of counter shots from Floyd. So who knows? Let's see here. I'm gonna pick one more good question from you guys. And that lucky question will be controversial decision. It's not going to be controversial decision. Okay, last one. Brett Hubbard. Oh, no, sorry. My bad, Brett. This guy has the name of Fook Yu. Conor will hit Floyd with shots he's never been hit with. Let me tell you something about this. Conor's a heavy hitter. No doubt about it. When he hits you, he rocks you. We've seen that with Jose Aldo. We've seen that with Chad Mendez. We've seen that with Poirier. With Seaver. Poirier. Eddie Alvarez. So Conor is a big puncher. Now, here's the thing that kind of gets my head scratching and wondering as well. You're willing to tell me that Conor McGregor is a bigger puncher than Canelo Alvarez? And here's the other thing too. I did an interview with Brendan Schaub and he told me that he feels Conor McGregor is bigger than Canelo Alvarez. I don't think so, to be honest. Canelo Alvarez offseason weighs 180 pounds. Conor McGregor for that Diaz fight, he didn't cut. He weighed 170 pounds. He may have a longer reach than Canelo Alvarez, but muscle structure-wise, body type-wise, you've seen the size of freaking Canelo's neck, the size of his thighs and legs. Canelo's a big freaking dude. He's not bigger than Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo Alvarez is a bigger puncher than Conor McGregor. Canelo Alvarez, one punch knocks out people. We've seen it with James Kirkland. We've seen it with Baldomir. Liam Smith to the body, knocked him down. Canelo Alvarez is a brutal, concussive, one-punch KO puncher. Conor McGregor has power, but when he lands his punches on you, it's not one punch that puts you to sleep. It's a multitude of punches that put you to sleep. When he hit Jose Aldo, he floored him, and he followed up with a hammer fist. The hammer fist is what knocked out Jose Aldo. With Eddie Alvarez, it was the combinations that knocked out Eddie Alvarez, not one punch. Canelo Alvarez hits you with one punch flush, you're out. It's lights out. Canelo Alvarez is a bigger puncher than Conor McGregor, and he could not land anything of substance on Floyd Mayweather. There's at one point where Canelo Alvarez lands a punch on Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather physically is moved back when he hits him. I believe it was a punch to the shoulders. He made Floyd move back like 5 feet. And this is just my opinion, but there's no way that Conor hits harder than Canelo, given Canelo's technique, given how heavy-handed Canelo is, given how Canelo, his stance is so, he puts his weight on all his freaking shots. That's the thing about Canelo. He gets criticized that he doesn't move around him so much, that his footwork's horrible because he's always planted, always centered to land power shots. McGregor, when he lands his power shots, he's on the balls of his feet. He's moving. So he's not allowed to put all his weight on his punches. It's impressive because he's moving back and he's able to hit these guys and hurt them. But it's not the same. It's just not the same like a Canelo Alvarez. And I'll go ahead and end it on that point. And here's the other thing. I've seen both Conor McGregor and Canelo Alvarez in person. Okay? And to me, honestly, I think Canelo Alvarez is a little bit bigger than Canelo. And Canelo Alvarez, we all know, weighs 180 for fights. And I don't think Conor McGregor is going to weigh 180 for a fight. I think Conor McGregor weighs around 171, 172, 173 for a fight. So Canelo's bigger, and I think he hits harder than Conor McGregor. All right, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. What you guys have been saying with me in this live chat. Wish to do more of these as well. I'm going to go ahead and try to do more of these on a consistent basis. I had a lot of stuff, excuse me. My voice is going away. It's too much talking over the weekend about this fight. I've done a lot of radio shows and stuff, but thank you guys. If you're tuning in for the first time, please subscribe to us. If you're not subscribed to us, follow us on social media at FightUpTV on Instagram and on Twitter. Give me a follow as well at Hey, it's Marcos V. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate the support you guys have given us over the years on this channel. It means a lot to me, and we do our best to give you guys content that you want to watch and give you guys content that's meaningful and really that's good. So thank you from me to you, and I'll see you guys hopefully really soon, man. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it, and thanks for watching. You guys have a good night, good afternoon if you're watching us internationally as well. Be safe and stay out of trouble, guys. Stay out of trouble. Don't text and drive also.